the first time I tried the 6 hours, I remember I spent the 6 hours screaming in agonizing pain, rolling all over the place. Oh, I can't, it was too much. But the second time was good. Then I realized the trick is that the same thing probably when people meditating ask me that how long should it take for me to meditate. I said don't worry about the duration, because that was end up anticipating about the time and you can't let it go. This happened to me in the 6 hours that because I was trying to mark the time, trying to keep it up with the time. Finally, it's really not able to let go. And the second time that I could do the 6 hours, it was because I don't care about the time. I just concentrate about being there, try to just rest, to be comfortable, to be still. If it's uncomfortable, just restart. So that's actually make the 6 hour pass easier. So one thing about our own mind, when we look forward too much, then we tend to put too much pressure on it. I did try that too. It's like the moment that, okay, this session is 1 hour, I'm not going to move at all. After 5 minutes, it was so itchy. So strange, right? But when we just say, oh, what the heck, let it be. Even it's going to be itchy, scratch, then it's fine. Nothing happened. Anyway, any questions? Question is always better. Because I think Vinny said that this session is going to be more Buddhist philosophy, but I don't know how deep do you want to go. Yep.
All right, so since you talked about the afterlife or reincarnation, or just, again, I've read certain things and everybody's got different beliefs and I respect that. I happen to be Christian and Catholic, but I have read books and there's an afterlife and karma and going into different realms, and so I don't know if you would be able to expand on that.
Oh yes, of course, but okay, but before I go to expand on that, number one, whenever I talk about this, I never force everybody to just believe it. It's explained based on something that is said in the text, and also based on the Buddhist traditions and philosophy. So it's also one way to look at cycle, so we call it cycle of life, okay? So take it that way as an information. Because one good thing about the afterlife is all major religions in this world talk very similar in the way that there is an existence of afterlife. Which is true. No matter where, although they may explain it different ways, but one thing they share in common is that it exists, and it's based on what you do. If you're good guys, good boys, good girl, there's a good place for you to go. Of course, the details might be different, but if you really put to the foundation, it's pretty much similar. So in that way, when people ask me about the afterlife, I always explain this way that, look, if you're a good person in this life, let's take it like you buy life insurance. You see, there's kind of life insurance that said that if you pass away, if you have accident and you pass away, you get like $1 million. If you, let's say you lose an arm, you get 100 grand. Do you expect to get the money when you buy that kind of insurance? Not really, right? So why do you buy it? Just in case, right? Just in case that happens, because you don't really want to get that money. Because that money comes with the price to pay. Usually you don't really want that, so you buy it just in case, just something may happen. So the concept of life after that is something to think about too, that sometimes people just so caught up in it too, but it's also something that if you don't believe, take it as a just in case kind of thing. Because if you're a good person in this life, what happened on the last day, you're going to be happy because of the good actions, right? You're responsible, you're disciplined, you're nice, you serve others, you live a proud, happy life until the very end. That's good for you already. If next life exists, afterlife exists, that's a bonus. If it doesn't, this life you're already happy. But if, okay, there's no such thing, let's be as bad as I can. then from today until the last day, you're going to suffer from that consequence of your actions anyway. If afterlife exists, that's a long punishment really. So think of it as a kind of life insurance in the way you take it just in case, okay? That can be one way to look at it, very helpful. Now, back to the Buddhist concept of whole cycle of life. I will break it hard. Okay. In Buddhist philosophy, we look at what people really call cycle of rebirth or cycle of existence as everything that we have right now. We look at it as a prison. Basically, everybody here, all of us, you and me, we are prisoners, locked in this prison. And it's not a regular prison, it's a prison on death row. Just take that story, okay? Meaning that because, just like on the death row, we don't know when we're gonna die. How are we gonna die? It's only when the sentence comes, that's gone. That's it. So, but the hard part is that we don't see the wall. It's somewhere farther away, so we don't see the wall. That's why when we are born, we believe we are born free. But reality is that we don't know when we're gonna die. That's why we don't even see the prison wall, but until the very last moment we realize we're trapped in here. Like what? If you have a farm so large that you leave all the cattle roam free, the cows, the chickens, when they are born in that farm, they believe they are free, right? Because they have a lot of space to running around, say happy life and all that. The next thing, the chicken know that it's not free when they end up become fried chicken in KFC. That's when they realize, oh, I'm not free. There was somebody just waiting to execute me later on. So basically, that's the kind of prison that it look like. The reason is because we trapped in here. So when we look at the Buddha, who exactly was the Buddha? Buddha, just like you and me, just a guy who one day found a way to break out the prison. And after he break out of the prison, there was a crack that he pointed. You see, there's a crack right there, and this is the map. If you want to get out, that way. But I can't guarantee you make it. All I can do is leave you a map, and all of the game, the rest is up to you. Some people follow, some people didn't. He can't force anybody because he saved himself already. That's how it works. Okay? So that's why when Buddhists look at the Buddha, we don't look at him as a kind of divine or supreme being. He was just like us. Just like everybody. The only thing the difference is that he's been in this game for a very long time, so that he tried to figure out a way to get out of the prison for a long time. Finally he cracked it. Anyway, because we look at it as the prison, means we trap in here. So in this prison, there are certain kind of reward and punishment too. Because if we are good prisoners, we go to something that is called heaven. I don't really want to call heaven because in most cases it's conflict with so-called the Western concept of heaven in other religion. But that's why we usually try to translate as celestial realms. In the other world is a reward, but it's still a prison. It's just like if I'm a good prisoner, will be moved and be transferred to a better prison for a while to enjoy my bonus. But then I'm come back to the old prison again, to be born like this again. In the same way as when I go to hell, I'm a bad boy. I will be transferred to maximum security prison where there are so more punishment waiting. But then I will also come back here again. So that's why the concept of heaven and hell in our belief is not permanent. It was like a pit stop in between. Depends on what I do in this life. If I'm doing good, there's a good thing waiting. But then, still coming back. Now, in this prison, just like every prison in this world, there is certain kind of law, rules, that sort of dictating this prison. But the only different thing is that usually when we enter prison that's man-made, the law is told from the beginning. In this reason, when we are born, we haven't been told about that law, and that is called the law of karma. We don't know about that. We don't know it exists, but it's there. So, how does it work? The word karma or karma literally translates as action. Nothing more, nothing less. It literally translates as action, meaning that whatever actions always bring consequences. What people try to figure out mostly is only that what happened to me, everything that happened to me, what caused it. That's why you spend a great deal of trying to think, but there are time frames that you can't see. So I will break it down to you so that you have some kind of idea. When you look at karma, put it in a simple concept like this. You are who you are today because of the action that you did, you have done from the day you were born until today. Isn't that right? What you eat could be how your health is today, what kind of book that you read, what kind of book that you study, will be how you are today, what kind of training that you take, will be the skills that you have today, right? If you are nice to different people, today they are friends. If you are mean to different people, today they are your enemy. Something along that line, right? Meaning is what's going to happen on the last day of your life will be the result of your action from today until that day. Is it correct? Yeah. Plus the effects of these actions that still have an effect on the future that you can't change. Because certain kind of health aspect that you have been doing already is still affect for the next 10 years. People that they don't love you, they don't like you, it will take some time to change their attitude, right? They still affect into the future. So this is how karma works. That's why when people ask me that is life predestined or choices, I said it's both. There are past karma that still affect into the future, it's predestined in a way, but then in every moment we still have a choice to change. As long as the new action that we do is stronger than the past one, then we can also make something different. Then there are future life to be reborn, which means that these two karma, we also get effect in here, 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 and you deplete. The very same reason in this life, how I am getting here, this where I am, the way I am, as I am, family, everything, because of the past action that coming to effect like here. Got it? So, it works like this. If you plant rice, what do you get? Rice, right? If you plant bean, what do you get? Bean. Bean. If you plant rice, you get rice. You plant bean, you get beans. You plant oranges, you get oranges. Whatever you plant, you get the consequent result. Karma is just like that. The only thing that makes people get so caught up in the idea because they don't understand the time frame, but that's hard to crack. Because it's like when you plant rice, you plant it once within 3 months, you probably get a lot of rice, but one time, right? When you plant apple, how long does it take for apple to give fruits? A few years, maybe. 3 years. And how many years you can harvest apple? Maybe like 20, 30 years, right? I don't know, a lot of farmers that have to wait. But to be honest, it's like a very long time, still give effect for many times in the future. So that's why sometimes people don't understand in terms of karma, because it's like that. Some karma show effect like rice, some of them like oranges or apple. But karma is not personality. A lot of people in the West think that, oh, I'm having bad karma because I'm a bad guy. Things are not black and white like that. It's because you're good and you're bad. It's just that we people, we do things good and bad all the time. Like, you get up in the morning, you say nice things to your kids, to your husband, to your wife, to your girlfriend, to your boyfriends, right? And you drive your car, you started to yell at the people on the road, and the crazy driver. Then you go back to your office, and then you started to say nice things to your colleagues, and then you gossip behind your boss back. So say that in the whole day we also did different karmas, mixtures and meanings, and every single time as we move by, we plan. Let's say if the bad karma is apple and good karma is oranges, so we plan both all the time. And we don't know which one is going to affect first. That's why everything that happens into our life is the result of those karma, that mixture up. However, one thing to understand is that we can't erase it. It doesn't work like I hit you, and I treat you with a nice lunch, and these two even out. It doesn't work that way. Because when I hit you, he hit me, right? You want to hit me back. When I give you lunch, he likes me. He wants to treat lunch back. So it's actually increasing both scale at once. It doesn't erase each other. Because just because I give him lunch doesn't mean he stopped hitting me. That's why when we look at karma, each time that we do something, we generate something, we generate the energy that we call either positive or negative. In our terms, we call it punya or papa. Sorry about my handwriting, it's extremely horrible. Anyway, punya is a positive energy and papa is a negative energy that we cultivate based on the actions. So, these two don't erase each other. It's been collected in our mind. But it looks like this. If you got a glass of water and you add a spoon of salt in it, the water will taste salty, right? If you pour this water into a bottle, this big, you add more water, how does the water taste like? Less salty. If you pour this water into a swimming pool, now how does the water taste like? You barely taste any salt left, right? But the question is salt still with the water? Yes, always. That's the thing. Negative energy that we accumulate is like salt, while positive is like water. So that is why every Buddhist philosophy always talk about be in the present moment, keep doing good things, because that's when we keep adding water in our life. We don't know what kind of salt I have been putting. I could be a good guy for the rest of my life, but there are moments that I get really upset and yell at people, I hit people because I get angry. Doesn't mean I'm a bad guy, I make a mistake. But that could be a big mistake that give a lot of effort, could be a lot of salt. So what I do right now, to keep adding more water as much as I can. That's it. That's why we concentrate on trying to be as good to ourselves and others. Be kind, compassionate, concentrate on the moment, the present, because we can't change what happened in the past. What's going to happen in the future depends on the action that we do that will alter the consequences. As a result, that is the meaning of the law of karma. Got it? Okay. So with that law of karma, as we are born in this reason, it wasn't told. So it wasn't told. Meaning we don't know if we do something bad, there is bad consequences waiting. But just like the law of the traffic law, let's say if you didn't stop at the stop signs and police caught you, can you just tell them that, oh, sorry, I don't know the law? What does the police will say? Ignorance of the law is an excuse, right? So standing in karma, you can't say, oh, sorry, I don't know, hitting someone doing bad things. Hey, I don't care. Karma says, I don't care. It works also like that too. But we don't know, which means it's easier for us to make mistake. Now, not only that we born into this world without knowing the law of karma, the other thing is that it's not like regular prison. Regular prison, we are fed. Basically, there's always food. Even it's not so good, but it's there. But this prison, there's no free food. If you want to eat, work hard. Because if you don't eat, you die. You suffer. If you want to eat, you're going to have to go to work. Which means every single day you have to go out there trying to survive. So imagine you're born in this prison, you don't know about the law of karma, but you are forced to go out there to work to survive. What are the odds of the good or the bad one? Not so nice, right? Moreover, not only that this prison also created in a way that it feels so easier to do the negative activities. The next best thing is that our mind is also mixed with this contamination. It's like a little microchip that programs our mind to to have greed, to have anger, to be jealous, to be egotistic, all these negative things that make us create these bad things. It's already there from the very beginning. It's like the ink in the water that always change the conditions of the mind, things that we perceive. So that is why the goal is to clear this water. When people talk about enlightenment, what exactly it is when we can clear this water from all these negative contamination, plain and simple. Because that is the mind that's programmed us to be angry, to be greedy, for no good reason. So that's pretty much the cycle. As a result, come back to controlling the mind. Come back into capturing the mind. Because whatever is going on, it depends on the choice that we're making anyway. But as we do it, we feel happy. So now beyond the concept of a religious thing, come back into, if you're good to be kind to a person, that's what you get. And for us, when we teach these things, like, if we have heard the word Buddhist precept, take a course of 5 things like no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no telling lies, and no consuming intoxicant. This is not the rule set by the Buddha, but because it's basically human nature. What do you love about yourself? What do you love in your life? You love yourself, right? If you love yourself, do you want to be hurt or do you want to be killed? No, you don't. So because you don't want to be hurt and whether you don't want to be killed, then what should we do to the others? Yeah, we should treat others like we treat ourselves. We shouldn't hurt anybody. That's become our rule number 1. Now, not only did you love yourself, what else do you love? What you got? Because in order for me to do or to have all this, it's not easy. And it helped me to survive, right? If somebody take it away, we don't like that. The same things. So you shouldn't take from the others. So beside my life, my properties, is my family. I will love people around me. I don't want anybody to take them away without me knowing it, right? So meaning I shouldn't violate family integrity of others. And for any relationship to last, it's based on trust. And trust coming from being honest. So we shouldn't tell lies or using bad words. The same as others don't want to hear it. For us, the last one, intoxicant, is when we are able to maintain our self-control so that we are not under influence. We don't DUI our life. So that's how our 5 percent really come about. Becoming when we use some concept of empathy, put ourselves in other people's shoes. You see that right, wrong, good, bad, should and should not are not the same. It looks similar, but they're not the same. Right doesn't mean good. Wrong doesn't mean bad. But good is usually right, and bad is usually wrong. But they're not the same. Right and wrong is more about the law, the rules, discipline that's set upon. It's set by a group of people. And it can change over time when the circumstances changes. Should and should not is more like manners and etiquette. I shouldn't make loud noise because everybody here is meditating quietly. Doesn't mean it's the wrong thing to do, we just shouldn't do it, right? But good and bad, it gives the consequences. But empathy actually helps us to be able to define that good, bad, right, wrong, should and should not. But we can only be empathized when we understand our mind. When the mind becomes clear, that is when we are able to be empathized. For example, when my mind is like, I enjoy having fun, yeah, I want to play music, doesn't matter how loud it was, they will just think, yeah, they don't care about it, it's okay, it's not too loud for them. I don't have empathy because I just so fixated on my desire. But the moment that I understand myself more, then I become more considerate of others, right? I don't take my side. That's the moment when the mind becomes clear. That's why the goal of the practice is how we can keep the mind as clear as we can. The whole thing is all back normal. So the same thing is cosmology. Rebirth is a state that we can come back to be in this prison again and again and again. We keep our journey until we can clear this water completely. The cosmology of the Buddhists is a lot, to be honest. In fact, to explain, we have to explain about 6 to hell, 11 of hell, 6 levels of heaven, 556 levels of hells. You will say, that's not fair. I never said law of karma is fair. Anyway, there's actually a good explanation about why. You see that when we do something bad, we just put more effort when we try to do something good. I used to be a smoker. I smoked for 10 years before I became a monk. Anybody who is a smoker can actually answer the same way as I can. Do you think every smoker knows that it killed them? It's said on every package. They know. So why did they do it? I don't know. I don't know why. It's just but it means that I'm willing to die to smoke. Right? So there are a lot of times when we do something bad, we know the consequence can be terrible. Even we can be dead because of that. I'm willing to do it. It means I'm willing to put my life on the line to do bad things. But when it comes to do good things, how many times in our life we say, I'm willing to put my life on the line to do good things in comparison to do bad? That's why we have more hells than heaven. Anyway, but I don't take that too seriously. When it comes to karma, that's why intentions is what causes a different amount of energy. So when people talk about, yeah, then how about the energy of killing animals and humans? It depends on the intentions. Let's say if you squat an ant or mosquito, it will be like a snap, right? Just like that. It's all gone. If you want to kill an elephant, it takes a lot of effort, right? Because it's not easy to kill an elephant. It's much bigger than you are. So you have to be so focused on the intentions, right? And imagine if you're to kill a person, then it requires a lot more engagement. You think a lot, what if I can't get away? What if I get arrested? Or what should they hide the body? There's a copyright, I shouldn't say that too much. And even if that person is somewhat important to you, like your parents, for example, it means that you really have to go a long way of intentions. That's why the karma becomes much larger. It depends on intentions, whenever you do karma, either good or bad. Intentions really matters. People think that, oh, when I do good karma because I'm generous, it's all about the amount of money. No, it's not. It's about the intention that you do. If your intent is stronger, it's bigger. It's not the amount. You can donate $1 million just because I can have the name on top of that room. It could be not so much either in terms of karma that we look at. Anyway, so this cycle of rebirth, as you see in the prison, is to either heaven and hell come back and away. And then you keep practicing over and over again until you can clear this water completely. Basically, then you can be like a Buddha, escape. So the whole thing is like a series, prison break. Very much like that. I know it looks kind of tough. Nonetheless, you don't have to be so depressed about Buddhist philosophy. A lot of people think that Buddhist philosophy talks a lot about sufferings as a part of life. In a way, it can look pessimistic, but in a way, it's about embracing reality. Because what we say as sufferings is actually more like obstacle that we have, but that everybody will face in life. It's inescapable. Aging, sickness, and death is part of life. Being part from one that we love is part of life. Once something that we can't get it is part of life. So those things are actually something that we're gonna face, no matter who we are. We're definitely going to face it. If we understand that it exists, and it exists because that this way nature is, we can accept it, and we can deal with it easier. Rather than, why is this thing happening to me? Why I lost somebody? Why I can't get that? So we're gonna keep going on and on, and there's no actions coming out. So understanding the nature of suffering exists so that we can overcome it. Because when we are able to accept the reality of things, we take things easier. Let me put it this way. When you get up in the morning, what do you do afterward? Go to the toilet, that's good. Next question is something I shouldn't ask. What do you do in the toilet? Of course, you're gonna, you know what. Every single day, you get up, you go to the toilet, you pee, you poop, no big deal, right? But if any day you get up and you just can't poop, now it's a big deal. For 3 days you can't poop, deal is bigger. 7 days are huge, then you need a doctor. The thing is that, you know that in Thai, the word toilet is sukha, which means happiness. Because every single day we go to the toilet, we relieve our sufferings in there. Literally, we call that. Meaning that the moment I realize this is a part of me, if I eat, I just have to defecate. It's just the nature. I accept that. If that feeling comes, all I need to do is go straight to that party and do the job. I don't feel that sufferings anymore because I embrace as a fact of life and I know this is the way to deal with it. That's it. The same as any other kind of problem that we have in life. The moment that we embrace that it is a part of life. Everybody faces the same thing. Then how should I deal with that? It's the same. You don't complain about pooping. Grieving is in the same way, if you look at it. So the moment you embrace it is part of life, it's easier to embrace that obstacle. But the moment you in the state of denial that shouldn't happen to me, it's happening, and it will. Yes, nobody escapes death, sickness, aging, being part of the love, don't get what they desire, disappointment. It's just the nature of life. But the moment we are able to embrace that, yeah, I don't get it, I try harder. It changes, right? And that's why changing your mindset, changing the way you see the world, will change also the way you interact with it too. So this is how the cycle works. I don't know if I'm qualified enough, that's what you want to know. But the concept of rebirth in our context is not like in Hinduism, if you really learn comparative religion. In Hinduism, it's more like something they call reincarnate, which means it's the same you, they put different suit. That is the Hinduism context, which means that I'm the same me. I'm putting new me, new body. New body is like changing clothes. In Buddhist philosophy, we make it a little bit, we sort of explain a little bit more that it's more like a transforming from one person to the next. You're not exactly you, that's what we call rebirth. In a way that, because every moment that passes by, you also evolve. Different knowledge, different practice, you're also evolving over time. That's why you right now and you 10 minutes ago are not exactly the same you, right? That also means that when you move into the next body, it's not exactly the same you right now. So we create this transformation. It's like when you light a candle, the first one, and then you connect to the second one. The second flame is not the first flame. But without the first flame, you can never have the second one, right? The same that concept when we talk about rebirth. But in Hinduism, we talk about like the first one and the second one is identical. Got it? Okay. I don't know if that's too much.
Does karma follow you?
Oh yeah.
Because how do you explain the baby dies?
Exactly.
Bad karma for the folks? Is the baby good because they're reborn again? It's this, how does that explain?
Okay. Number one, karma is not transferable, as people think. It's not by genetic, that because I was born in a family, my dad did this and I'm gonna suffer for his karma. It doesn't work that way. Karma belongs to individual. But again, it's because we have more than one life. We have more than one life. So that's why when we talk about things like a very innocent baby to have to be born with the disease and suffer, It could be because of the karma in their past life. That's given effect until they are born in that way. Doesn't mean the baby is a bad person, like I said, because karma doesn't mean you're bad guys. As a lot of time we change to fall into that trap. People think, oh, I'm a bad person. No, it's not. It's just that, we did mistake that we don't know which one gave it effect. So in case of the baby, likewise. So that kind of karma gave that kind of effect. In the baby's life, the baby passed very young age. So at some point, the karma will also deplete. And baby will be born in better state too. But that's what we explain. But that happened.
I've got two separate questions. So one of them is, if you knowingly eat meat and you're not supposed to kill not just humans but anything, then are you creating bad karma? And of course, when the animals die, they do suffer.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's the one thing, if you can expand on that. The other one is as far as how you should view everybody as your mother, as far as kindness.
Okay, I get it. The first one, let's put it this way. When you eat burger, do you intend to kill a cow? No. You even know which cow is killed? No. Exactly. Karma belongs to individual. People who choose to kill because they kill. Eating is different karma. But if you go to a restaurant, you point a particular fish at that one. Now that is on you. Because you order and kill. Because there's a difference like that. So make sure when you talk about this concept, to put it simple, if you eat like an eagle, then you get the karma of killing. If you eat like a vulture, then you don't. It's there. It's meat. I know that we like to tie it up with the rules of economies and because of demand and supply. It's not that broad concept. It's like particular. Which one? If you can pick which one, that's on you. If you can't, then it's not. Because that is something already there. It's an element. Now the second one is concept of loving kindness. Is actually what you say is more like a practice. In the same way that would be in Bible they say, look at others as your neighbor, look at your neighbors, love your neighbors like you love yourself. We also use the very similar expressions. One of the things like when we practice loving kindness, either you look at everybody like your mother, you treat them, or you feel that you are mother of every person on this earth and you love them like your child. So it's the concept that can help us to really understand the way to spreading loving kindness. Because that's what we should be. The moment we think about giving, our mind expands. The moment we think about taking, our mind retracts. You see that when we think about receiving something, we get so caught up in our little world, right? But when we want to give, we just expand ourselves a lot. We have a big space to accommodate a lot of people. That's why the loving kindness and compassion helps us to create that space in the mind. And that's what you asked was sort of like method that people use in a way to look at others so that they can feel the way they should treat others and practicing it. And giving gives the purpose of life. When I use the word giving, I don't mean to give the money, as people usually think. Giving can be so many aspects. Giving help, giving time, giving comfort, giving support, giving a hand, giving good advice, giving kind words. There are so many aspects of giving. But the moment you think of giving, including forgiveness, the moment you're thinking about giving, that's sort of the moment you really expand it out and give purpose of life. You see that whenever you feel that you have something, people when they feel that life has no way to go because they don't think so, they just feel so retract in that little space. Nothing is good in my life. But the moment that I want to make something good for that person, that they want to have good things for my kid, it gives purpose, right? Giving gives you that kind of sensations. It gives purpose. That's why giving is very, very powerful. It's a powerful thing. Even the word love means to give. In our context, the word metta, that we refer to loving kindness, it also means compassion. It doesn't mean passion. When people talk about passion, I mean, I'm passionate for that. It means I want to have it, right? But when you use the word compassion, it means I want to give it. Love in our context means compassion, doesn't mean passion. It means that I love someone doesn't mean they have to be mine. But because I want to give the person so they can be better. So it's a different concept too. So I begin with loving yourself, which means giving to yourself. It's not supposed to be so serious, you know. Not my style. But if you really thought the rule of thumb is pretty much like that. Number one, understand this, there is such a thing as the nature of life. When you understand the nature of life, you embrace that it's the part of the life. It is come, it's gonna come. It's only a matter of time. If we prepare ourselves that it's not something strange, something foreign, it's easier to embrace it. And then we're gonna deal with it. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna have to deal with that too, right? One day I fall sick. It's useless to complain why I got sick. It's useful to think then, is there any cure, is there any good doctor? If you have a good karma, so something good gonna come up, I would find a way to relieve those sickness. So look it up. Is someone that I love, apart from me? Of course it's sad. I don't mean that I'm not a stone cold killer, that I don't feel any sadness. But crying don't bring them back. Grief don't bring them back. And I'm sure that if I pass away, I wouldn't want to see my parents living in grief for the next 10 years. I want them to spend the next 10 years living happily, because that's when I'm looking from above, as you guys like to say. Then I'm happy that they're still living so happily. So it's the more time we can transform that. There's different ways to look at the same situations. For us, we try to look at the negative side of life as a part of it that we embrace, rather than avoid talking about it and pretend it never exists.
I have a question here about enlightenment. Like Buddha was enlightened. Is enlightenment the end of one life and entering into another life? Or can one reach enlightenment while they're fully aware of the life they're currently in?
Enlightenment, to put it plain and simple, is when you find a way out of the prison, out of the whole system. So it can happen in this life. It can happen in any life. But the moment you got it, you don't come back. You end rebirth completely. And it's not reserved just to the Buddha, anybody. The word Buddha means to know. Literary translation is to know. Because when we're born, we don't know anything. We don't know why we are born, why we are here. We know because we learn later, but it's not like, you know, fire is hot, you stick your hand in fire, right? So enlightened means to know, like you know, like you stick your hand in fire, you really know. And that's the end of the game. No more. I don't know if that.
Yes. Well, I was just wondering if, like, enlightenment is in meditation. Is that what one is reaching for?
I understand. Now I got it. It doesn't mean that it has to be 0 to 100 as enlightenment. Enlightenment is the absolute, when you get the way out of the prison. But to the practice, there are a lot of little steps from 0 to 100 that help you sort of know how to get there. You may not be able to reach there yet, but you still have, now I know it's on the right track. So that's why we call it wisdom.
How does one raise their perception perceptions? Is it through meditation?
Meditation is one of the ways that can be very helpful. Okay. Perception of theory is actually the whole beginnings. One of the most important teachings about this is called the Eightfold Path, which means the 8 steps as stepping stone to reach enlightenment, to reach success, and it all begins. And you can use this in everything in your life too, not just in meditations or spiritual context. It's all begins with theory. Whatever you have as a theory of like perspective, perceptions, is because of this thing. Because of the perspective, the theories, it leads to intention and thought. For example, if I believe in law of karma as my theory, then it will have intention to do really good things, right? Which also result in trying to speak as good, live as good as I can. When I put more effort into doing so, automatically I become more mindful of my actions. Mindfulness brings about concentration of the mind. When the mind is focused and concentrated, it helps me to understand my theory better, clearer perceptions. Which means, when I have clearer perception, I have better thought, better intentions, better way to apply in my daily life to better words, better action, better effort. And then the third round, until enlightenment. So that's actually how one perceptions theory created. That's why it requires 2 things. Sometimes we can get this perspective theory by observations or by good work from the others. But it takes this concentration of the mind to make us be clear about that. So 2 things combined. Meditation helps to give a pause moment where you can start to reflect on something really make you understand. Because that's when you start to have an observation. And good insight from others can also be helpful. But when our mind is way too noisy and busy, we just never hear it.
Thank you.
So you can also use this model in different things. There's also things like in business world, you can also use like theory, develop into method, into tools, and evaluation. Same thing.
Almost to the even I have one more question related to the bonus.
Okay. So the more you meditate, does that help you then eventually accept death? I mean, can you like just, I don't know how to explain it, but I mean, I've heard that if you like fight death, or if you go out and you're like, not accepting of death,
Okay.
they say you might come back in a lower realm.
No, it's not.
That's not true. Okay.
Doesn't matter whether you accept death or not. Doesn't matter, because to break the harsh truth, you're gonna die. It's only the matter of when, where, why, and how. That's all. But death is one thing that's really finite. So it doesn't matter whether you deny or not, it's gonna come. But it doesn't affect whether you're gonna go to lower realm or better realm. But accepting as death as part of life can help us to go to better realm easier, because we are prepared. My master said to me that if you have been good for the rest of your life, you're not afraid to die. You're not afraid to die. Because there is nothing fearful waiting for you in the future. You live a full life. Everything you do, you're proud of. The same thing when you go to the state is in the same way. You have nothing to be afraid. But if I have been hurting a lot of people for the rest of my life, they're afraid of death because they don't know what's going to happen to them. So that's why when accepting that death is part of life, we are prepared. There's a saying of the Buddha that if the mind is bright and clear, we go to the wholesome realm. If the mind is clouded and muddy, we go to unwholesome place. So what kind of actions that make your mind feel bright, feel clear? When you give, when you are nice to people, when you become helpful, when you speak nicely, when you're polite and kind, when you're humble. So all these good ethics that we are talking about, no matter where it is in different civilizations, is actually shared in common. It helps your mind to be bright and to be clear. And that's where the good place is created, if you talk in that terms. So if you're accepting death, it helps you to be prepared. My master even said that, I'm not afraid to die, but I am afraid to be reborn. It means I have to come back here, study in school, go to work, get married, have kids, go to die, go and come back here again. I hate to be 2 years old again. Be in diaper and you learn to use the body.
Well, thank you again. We're going to pay respect to the Venerable teacher by bowing to him. Bow. Bow. Bow.
So, thank you for sharing this amazing days of retreat together.